The New York Knicks have found themselves in a very interesting position. After ultimately missing out on the cream of the crop in free agency, they went out and brought in a bunch of quality players in hopes of making a playoff push in the upcoming season. The biggest all-season acquisition and expected leader of the team is 24-year-old Julius Randle, who averaged roughly 21 points and 9 rebounds this past season, largely due to his advanced low post skills. He's able to really thrive because of his strength advantage over most opposing power forwards, as well as the fine-tuning of his three-point shot. We'll of course be keeping a close eye on how well he performs and how much of an effect he has on team success. RJ Barrett, the team's highest draft selection since Patrick Ewing, will likely put up big numbers out the gates due to his well-balanced skill set. Barrett is expected to prove himself as a multiple all-star type of guy and eventually become the clear leader of the franchise, which frankly could happen the first season if all goes well for him. Following those two, there's Marcus Morris, who will play a very big role as a mid-range scorer on the ball and a 3-and-D player off of it, as well as Bobby Portis, who stated that he thinks he'll be in the 6th Man of the Year running due to his well-balanced scoring knack as a big man. To round off the rotational veterans, Taj Gibson will provide a solid veteran presence and still put in an impact on the court off the bench, and Elfrid Payton's expected to provide consistent playmaking and defense off the bench, and maybe even starting eventually if he proves his value. Now on to the more raw young core of the team. Aside from the already mentioned RJ Barrett, we've got Alonzo Trier, who I don't have to describe much more than his nickname ISO Zoe already does. Damian Dotson, a 25-year-old in just his 3rd season, but even though he may be near his ceiling, he's already proved himself as a very consistent 3-and-D guy. Kevin Knox, who I describe as a great outline of an eventual, very efficient all-around scorer. At just 20 years old going into his next season, he has a lot of time to improve some inefficiency issues. Dennis Smith Jr., who has gained a reputation as one of the league's best high-flying athletic guys, as well as being a good passer and scorer at just 21 years old. If he could start knocking down the 3-ball consistently, he could become a matchup nightmare. And last but not least, the 7-1 defensive presence down low of Mitchell Robinson, who was 2nd in blocks per game in his rookie season with tons of room to grow. His defensive game is already top-notch, although it'll be interesting to see how he approaches his offensive development. One last interesting player to follow throughout the season will be 21-year-old combo guard Frank Ntilikina, who will struggle to see the court after the acquisitions of Dennis Smith Jr. and Elfrid Payton in the past few months. So let's take a look at the rotations here. At the 1 we got Dennis Smith Jr., at the 2 RJ Barrett, at the 3 Marcus Morris, at the 4 Julius Randle, and at the 5 Mitchell Robinson. Off the bench Bobby Portis, Kevin Knox, Alonzo Trier, Taj Gibson, Elfrid Payton, and Damian Dotson, the last 4 guys getting 11 minutes, trying to take a balanced approach off the bench for a bunch of guys who are similar in production level. And then we're going to cater to more guys like Knox, who although isn't starting due to his lower overall than Marcus Morris, is going to be getting a lot of minutes off the bench, and also giving a lot of minutes in the starting lineup to Mitchell Robinson, Dennis Smith Jr. The ultimate goal for the team is to make the playoffs and compete for them at the very least, but if that goes completely left and we don't get anywhere close to it, we will evaluate trades for some of the older guys to get picks and instead cater to the young guys. Midway throughout the season, we'll look over that, or maybe even earlier. We just have to see what happens. At the end of the day, we're going to make sure this team does not go down without a fighting chance. As previously noted, we all know the team did not make the strides that a lot of people planned for, but they still made strides, and strides that can lead them to a playoff spot. All I know, though, is that it should be, whether good or bad, a very eventful season. But that's all I've got for this one, though. Stay tuned for Game 1 against the Atlanta Hawks, and cut.